Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I know it's been a while, aka a whole week, because this video was supposed to come out Wednesday and then shot myself in the foot and it was significantly harder getting through this video than I thought it would. So it is now Monday. I'm filming this intro Monday and this video will be coming out Monday because I've been doing this video for like a week and a half. And I am done. I'm done with it. And because it originally started as one thing and then it changed to another thing. And I'm just like, I need to not do this anymore. But I did finish it this morning and I am done. And we're going to quickly intro the video and then you guys can just watch it because it is long. It is annoying. And there's just a lot of stuff that's happening. So anyway, we are going to be mood reading some books. And originally this started off as a finish some series with me. But then as I was reading the first book, I was like, I don't really want to read a series as the next book. So let's make it a 24-hour reading vlog, but like, not like reading for 24 hours. It's like, well, I guess it is reading for 24 hours. It's not reading for a day. It's reading for actual 24 hours, like pausing the timer when I'm not reading, starting it when I'm reading, which by the way, never doing again. Was a horrible experience. It was so not fun. It took some of the fun out of reading where I was like, okay, I'm reading, click button. And then I would forget sometimes and I'd come back and I'm like, how long was I actually reading for? So it was a lot of fun. So much fun, right? This is so much fun. So anyway, I got through quite a few books, a lot of books. There's a lot. No spoilers, nothing like that. It's just generally basic things talking about the book. You can tell I'm so like out of sorts. And it's been a while since I've like filmed an intro because it's been a week since I put anything out. I feel like I've never been this stressed filming an intro before. So normally this is chill. Normally this channel is chill, but today it's not. It's not today. So I'm not gonna tell you what books I'm reading. I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy the video as it comes. But I guess I'm probably gonna put timestamps in because it's a long video and I'm one of those people who watches YouTube and I need timestamps. So I'll put in timestamps. So if you just like scroll on timestamps, you can see what I'm reading. But it's a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind on what I decide to read. It's a lot of fantasy. Is it all fantasy? I think most is fantasy. It's like 3 fantasy books, 1 young adult horror, and then the start of an adult thriller horror. So that's what you have in store, guys. It's just a wild ride, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm gonna go finish the book that I was reading now because I need to relax. And even though the book is making me paranoid, that's more relaxing than doing this. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a comment down below after the video, and make sure you like the video if you enjoy it. So yeah, let's jump into me talking about the first book. I physically don't have the book in my hands and I'm also really sorry. I just started the dishwasher. Which I didn't think about before I was filming this, so you're gonna hear that. Oh, and our air just cut on, so you're gonna hear all the things in this clip. And I don't have the book to show you guys. This is the most unprofessional update that I've done. First, I wanted to come in and obviously talk about my update on the book. I'm up to about I think I'm at page 200 of Heart of a Sun Warrior, and I just wanted to update now because I'm feeling the same way that I have felt since I started the book, which is highly disappointed. I am so upset about this right now because it's just way different than I thought it was gonna be. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, if you didn't watch the Fairy Loot Catch-Up vlog, that's where I read the first book in the series, The Daughter of the Moon Goddess, or Daughter of the Moon Goddess, whatever. I was hating the book, the first part. The books are broken up into parts. I hated the first part so much, but I kept pushing through because people love the book so much. I was like, okay, especially if it's in parts, the next part could be totally different. And thank goodness I was right. I did end up giving that book like a 4.5. So I was really excited to jump into Heart of Sun Warrior because the first one kind of could have been read like alone, like a standalone. Like the romance was a little unfinished and like the war was unfinished, but I don't know, I was kind of like happy with like where we were. So I was like, I don't feel this like deep desire need to read the second one, but there is a second one. So I'm going to read it because obviously like reading one of them is just unfinished. I'm kind of regretting that because the first book is like, just like so magical and whimsical. and I grew to love the writing. The problem is I waited 4 months and I'm back to not liking the writing style. And with the first book, you had like a slow building romance and this like perilous journey and these really cool quests and like her hunting monsters kind of thing going on. This one doesn't have that, so there's nothing to distract from the writing or make you slowly like fall in love with it. So I'm back to like just absolutely not liking the writing because it's very formal writing and nothing is happening in the story. I have read 200 pages and I feel like the only thing they did was bring back the thing that I didn't like from the first book. I thought we were done with the love triangle. In the first book, there was a love triangle, but it was kind of like Twilight love triangle where you know that Bella's gonna end up with one person, but you gotta throw that one person, another person in there just to like kind of mess around with things. Oh man, my dishwasher is really going at it right now. We have like a really old dishwasher, but it works so well. But with older technology, it's so loud. You can hear it upstairs. But it works so well that I'm like, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not replacing it. So anyway, they brought back the love triangle. And like, I feel like in the first one, it wasn't like a true love triangle. This one feels like it is. Like it feels more towards the other person that you're not supposed to be rooting for, I feel like. But I was rooting for him the whole time. I like the guy that she's not supposed to be with better than the guy she's with. So, which is normally what happens, which is why I hate love triangles. That's like my basis for hating them, is I normally like the person that they don't end up with. So, I don't hate the guy that she's like with, but I just don't feel a connection between them like I do with the other guy. So, that's kind of so frustrating because again, other than one reveal in one single chapter, these 200 pages have been basically just rebuilding her relationship with the other guy. This feels like a more boring, almost rinse and repeat of the first book without all the cool stuff. So I'm just so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I'm going to continue reading it. I'm actually thinking about turning this into a 24-hour reading vlog, but like a way, like the way that they do it like on the stop time, because there's no way I'm staying up 24 hours. This is not happening. And I'm kind of curious how much I can actually read in a 24-hour time span. Like it's not gonna be like a rush to do 24 hours. Like this may take a week, but I kind of just want to see how much I read in 24 hours. So this is not like gonna be a true 24-hour reading vlog. It's going to be, what can I actually do? Like, what kind of damage can I do? Because I am officially attempting to read all the books in my library. And I just did a big catalog of all my books. And it's bad, guys. It's really bad. And I'm not even done. I definitely still, yeah, there's a bunch up there I didn't catalog. There's some back here I didn't catalog. And there's all the books upstairs. I've gotten, I think, most of them. And I think I don't know like 100% like my numbers right now, but it's almost an even split between books that I've read and books that I haven't read. And I pretty much only counted physical books. Like I need to add my audiobooks in there, but I was really curious just how many physical books that I had, because I can easily count my audiobooks and my Kindle books because I don't have that many. So I have, I'm pretty sure at last check, it was like 870 books total, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing about 100 in there. I need to check. Like I'm missing a bunch of like my book of the months that are up there, and then my mother-in-law has a bunch of my book of the month, so I didn't catalog those yet. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'm not done yet. Speaking of which, I bought some books. So my mom was here this week. It was so much fun. I should have filmed her and stuff, but I didn't think about it. I just wanted, that's the thing, I'm not really a social media person. This is the most social media that I do, and it's all in my own time. I don't really do Instagram. I'm trying to get back in Instagram, and I just forget that that's a thing. So it's probably gonna take a long time for me to adjust to that, because I did do Instagram for a little bit, and I got a bit of a, like, I got a very small following, like 400 followers or something like that, which for me was like a big deal because I never did any social media, but it was taking over my life, like my obsessiveness with it, because you have to be obsessed with it to do well if you don't have any other social media platforms. And I realized it was taking over, and I was like stopping and like taking pictures of things instead of just enjoying it, and I did not like that. So now that I have a YouTube though, I would like to use my Instagram for YouTube for like polls, because I think it's easier to see polls on Instagram than it is the community tab. That's kind of like what I'm thinking about. So I don't know, and it would be cool to like have pictures of what I'm reading at the time so you guys can see that. So I do have my Instagram link below, so I would go follow that if you're interested to see if I actually use it, because I would like to start using it. So make sure you follow the Instagram down below. But anyway, I bought some books because my mom has become like a big reader, which is so much fun. I love talking about books with her. We trade books all the time. It's so much fun. So there's a bookstore 15 minutes from my house that I've never been to. So upset about it. It's a used bookstore, and it's called Book Buyers, and it's filled with cats. Filled with stray cats that they try to adopt out. So she like fosters them in the store, and people can just come in and adopt the cats. If I wasn't allergic, I would have adopted a cat, because there was an orange cat there that walked up right up to me and was going like, meow, meow, just like every 3 seconds, and like was headbutting me and like wanted all the scritches, and I was just like, I loved that cat, and his name was Junior. He was so cute. So anyway, it's like 15 minutes from my house. So my mom and I went, and we were both just like, the cats, the cats. And there was a really good selection. It was a very large store. They had 3 kittens too. They were so cute. They were running around slamming into each other and into the bookcases. It was so funny. So anyway, I ended up getting 2 books from there, which was really exciting. One of them I actually already have on audiobook, but if I have something on audiobook, I actually really like having the physical copy of it too, to reference. But because I already had it on audiobook, I didn't want to buy it for another $29, because that's a lot of money to have 2 copies of a book, which is me saying that, and I have 2 copies of a lot of books. So I already have a copy, but I bought the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and this is a nonfiction book. Another thing that I kind of want to get into is nonfiction, but this is like telling a story about Savannah, Georgia, and like the dark past of it, and all these like crazy stories. Like the basis around the story is there was a murder in this like old house, and they're trying to figure out what happened, but it like also tells about all like old Southern charm things and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. I love the cover. It's a dark and twisty take on what the South is actually like. So I'm excited to read this one. And then the other book that I got, I was so excited to see this because people have been talking about it. This seems like something I definitely want to get to soon, and it just looks so cool. I was able to pick up a copy of Night Swim. I didn't realize how heavy this was. This book is so heavy. So I'm so excited to read this one. If you don't know anything about the Night Swim, neither do I. I just know it's like a crime story, and there's like evidence files in here, which is so cool. So I'm really, really excited to dive into this one. I think it's going to be really fun to do. So I got both of these at the used bookstore. And then my mom and I also went to Second and Charles, which is the local big used store. I don't love that one as much just because it's a chain, and I do like to support independent used bookstores, especially because they really rely on sales and stuff like that and bringing your books in. So I don't love Second and Charles as much, but sometimes they have a lot of stuff, and mom doesn't really have one by her house, so I really wanted to take her to Second and Charles, and we just kind of happened to be there too. She wanted to go shoe shopping because she loves shoes. So we were at DSW, we had some time to kill, so we just rolled over to Second and Charles before one of my physical therapy appointments. So I did end up seeing a copy of Poison Study, which I've been wanting for a while. I'm really excited they had a copy. They actually had 2 copies. I was impressed. And then I picked up a book that I've actually been wanting for a really long time. I almost bought the Alcray special edition, but I picked up the Scorpio Races, and all I've heard is amazing things about this. I have not read the Raven Boys. I feel like I probably should have read the Raven Boys before buying this, because I do have the first Raven Boys book. But you know, that would be too easy, right? That would be too simple. So I got a copy of the Scorpio Races just because it seems like the epitome of like dangerous game type of thing. And we also went to the Barnes & Noble 50% off hundreds of books sale, and to say that we were disappointed is an understatement. Neither of us had any books in that sale that we were even remotely really interested in, so we just didn't bother buying anything. So that was really sad because we were so excited. She has so many books that she wants to get. She says she's a slower reader, but she's reading the Outlander books, and she's getting through Outlander books faster than I'm getting through like 400-page books. So the fact that she's just consistent, like she sets a time every day, like an hour, and she sits down and reads for an hour, and I'm just like, how? How do you do that? Like, your consistency is so impressive. I don't know how you do that. So she just didn't want to buy like a bunch of books, and she has some on her Kindle too. So she does not want to become me, where I just have tons of books. And she does borrow from, obviously, from my books too, because she likes some of the same books that I do. So anyway, that is the quick, very long, not actual quick update. And I'm gonna go read now and play some Animal Crossing. I think I'm gonna listen to the audiobook and play some Animal Crossing this morning because it's very relaxing and soothing, and we'll see how it goes. Usually at 3 hours read today, which is really exciting. I'm gonna keep going because I am going to finish this book today. I don't know how many pages I have left, but according to my audiobook, listening at 1.7 speed, I am at only having about 2 hours left. I'm just under 2 hours. So I think it said like an hour and 53 minutes. I am offended that this book even exists. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's basically how I felt about the second and third book of the Cursebreakers trilogy, the Bridget Kemmerer book, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Hated the second and third book, thought they were so bad. Basically, they're just running around asking other people for help. There's no like really exciting anything happening. There was a really devastating death that I actually really did not like. I did not approve of that one. Like, it didn't even have like a purpose, I feel like, in the story. It was just bad. And then this whole book is focused on the love triangle. Like, it is focused on making our main character as confused and miserable the entire book. And it took the worst part of the first book and made it the entire book. And our main character's so indecisive and just like, I feel like she's so different than she was in the first book, and I loved her in the first book, and she's just annoying. I'm so annoyed with her character, the dumb decisions that she's making, and just nothing just makes sense. Nothing makes sense. I feel like I'm in an alternate reality where somebody else wrote fan fiction after the first book, and that's what I'm reading. I'm reading like bad fan fiction, and it is painful. It is painful, and I am dreading reading this book for another 2 hours. Like, actually dreading it. And I'm so upset because I thought this was gonna be like absolute knock it out of the park, 5-star, or at least a 4-star, and I'm like bordering on like a 2 because of how pissed off I am about where the plot went, because it's just rehashing a bunch of stuff that happened in the first between the love triangle. And also, they made one of the guys, like, there's one guy that I like who I'm still thinking she's gonna end up with, and then you have the other guy who's kind of like the villain character. I like him so much better. And like, I've always liked him better, but especially in this book, they are making it so that the like guy she's probably gonna end up with is just being so controlling and such a pain, and like constantly jealous about everything to the point where it's just annoying, and like questioning everything that she's doing, trying to tell her what to do. And I'm just so frustrated. I'm so frustrated because the villain guy kind of lets her, like, he's still a little more controlling than I like, but he lets her do what she feels she has to, at least. But the other guy doesn't, and he is just driving me insane. And I don't know how she could ever like choose to be with him, but I feel like that's where it's going. I feel like that's the point of this, is that she's going to choose him, and I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad. So I'm just like I'm not happy what is happening right now. So I finished it. It's been about 5 hours of reading, which is cool. I'm already done a book. I did, you know, I was already like kind of halfway through this when I started this, so I guess technically it would be 10 hours reading this, but obviously I'm not counting that. So 5 hours into the 24-hour reading vlog thing that I'm doing, and feel really dumb thinking about those other clips because I don't know if you can tell, but I've been crying. I'm giving it a 4. I don't even know how to explain what happened when I read this book. I'm so glad it happened, but just when I thought all hope was lost for this book, there's an event that happens that made me just completely shut off and be done, and it was towards the end of the book, and I was like, this is it. Like, my extent to hating this romance thing going on is at 100. I'm so pissed off that she's going to end up with the wrong person. And then at the 11th hour, my girl, Sulin Tan, came through and made it so that my girl ended up with the person I wanted her to be with. So all the angst and the anguish and the frustration with this book was 1000% worth it for the, like, jump scare surprise at the end of this book regarding the romance. And I'm like, so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. I do wish that there's a little bit more with the romance at the very end. Like, there was a moment that I wish that had happened. However, there is a collection of stories coming out early next year that is going to be stories from before, during, and after these 2 books. So I am very upset that I don't have it right now because I want it. I want to read it. I want to know what happens after this book because like I know what happens after the book, but like I want to read about it and I'm dying to read about it. Based on the ending was a 5. The ending was a 5. The rest of the book was a 2. So because I love the ending so much and I feel like looking back at the series, I'll love it even more because of the romance, because it actually went my way for once. And I feel like knowing which way the romance was going now, this book made so much more sense. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to reread these 2 books with in mind who she ends up with and what happens, because it changes the whole reading experience. I feel like I screwed up by not just like enjoying the experience as we went, but I'm so jaded by love triangles that I immediately took offense to what was happening. And I was like, I know she's gonna end up with the wrong person. I know she's gonna end up with the wrong person. So now that she ended up with the right person, I'm looking back at the series and I'm like, may need to reread it with a different mindset. Because this book, yeah, that's why I'm giving it a 4, because looking back on the book, I'm like, okay, I actually kind of liked it, and now I understand what it was doing. It makes sense why one of the characters was so absent throughout the whole book, because the romance I thought she was going to end up with was, like, not in a lot of the book and would just show up and be super annoying. And I was just like, not here for that. But that wasn't the case. She didn't end up with him, so I'm just like, so yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm a little frantic, a little stressed. My emotions today have went like absolute roller coaster and I don't know how to deal with it. If you couldn't tell, I'm like super disheveled, confused. It's just all over the place right now. So anyway, yeah, I finished this. I finished our first book of this vlog. I do think I'm going to move into reading a thriller or mystery next, because I do think I need a break after this emotional roller coaster of a fantasy book. But this is like, oh, this is a good example of why I hate DNFing, because I really was so close to DNFing this book, and then the ending was just like, and some people it's not worth it. Some people it's not worth like slogging through a book for the ending to be really good. For me, it's worth it. The way a book ends for me is almost more important than the rest of the book. I still am not going to give it a 5 unless upon reread I'm like, this is fantastic. But right now it is a 4. Didn't enjoy the experience, but loved where I ended up. Such a weird reading experience. This is the weirdest reading experience I've had in a really long time. So we're gonna move on to something more less apt to make me sob and have my husband look at me and like, oh my god, are you okay? Because when it happened, I was so shocked. I was, like I said, it was like a jump scare. Like I was like, oh, I hate how this ended. Oh, she's gonna end up with this guy. Oh, and then wait a minute. What's happening? Why? Oh, this is happening now. Holy crap. It was just like I went through like all the stages of grief in like 20 pages of this book at the end. So I'm just sitting here living in a very strange moment of my life and trying to come to grips with what's happening. So yeah, finish this. We are at 5 hours. That leaves us with 19 hours left, if I can do math. And I believe I am going to start Midnight by Amy McCullough. If I come on here and say I'd started something else, that's just who I am. So I can't make any promises when I'm actually going to start. I only read about half an hour more last night because I was just tired. I read a lot yesterday. So I'm at about 5.5 hours read. It is Monday morning. I have work in a couple of hours. It is like 9:30. I have to leave the house at about 1 o'clock. So I have a bit of time to read, which is really exciting. And I have decided on my book. And no, it is not Midnight by Amy McCullough. Of course it's not. Because I really thought I was not going to be in a fantasy mood, but like, I was in a fantasy mood, but not like big fantasy. Because another book I really wanted to read was to finish the Six Crimson Cranes series, The Dragon's Promise, but I don't think I'm ready to go into that. That might be after this book, and again, I say that, but who knows what I'm actually going to read. So instead, I decided to finally pick up Spellbound. This was actually in, I think, one of the polls for the books for the next couple months, but it did not win. So I have heard a lot of really good recommendations for this on my channel. People have commented about it. So I'm really excited to read it. And I did read about a half an hour of it. So I'm up to page 28. And it's really interesting. So we're following two different main characters. Our main character right now that I know better because we've had 2 chapters with him is Rook, and he is a non-magical person who came from a family of magical people, and he was able to get a job with this really powerful sorcerer in the city because he wants to learn magic and wants to get back into being around magic because his grandmother was magic and that's what he's used to, but now he's kind of like exiled on his own. He gets a job at Hexagon, which is this woman's company, and he's going to be answering phones and doing office work and stuff like that. So our other main character is Sun or Soon. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to listen to the audiobook to know how to pronounce it when I'm at work today. So I'll let you know then how it's actually pronounced, but I'm going to go with Sun. They go by they, so they are an actual magical person, and they seem to be apprenticing under a different sorcerer, and they met because Sun had to come into the office to drop some stuff off, and there was a hilarious scene with a cursed doll, and I was cackling. It was so funny. So I'm really excited to like continue reading this book because it seems very quick, and it just seems like a very light, fun, very chill fantasy book that kind of borders more on like young adult romance is what I'm guessing. So I'm having a good time with this, and I'm going to continue reading this morning and doing some laundry, etc. before I have to go into work. All right, it is Tuesday morning. I did work yesterday. I don't have like that much of a reading update, but I gotta tell you what happened at work yesterday. I swear, every time I go into work, it's just a shit show there. It really is. And it's so funny what the management thinks they're doing versus what everyone else like perceives them doing or sees them do. It's just very weird. It's very weird. Let's do that update first, and then we'll talk about reading, because I do have like a very small update, because I don't remember the last time I updated was. I think I updated at 5.5 hours, and I just got to 6, so I only got like a half an hour more read at work because I was actually pretty busy at work, and you know, work comes before reading at work. So anyway, the update at work is our management is just, so I work at a big hospital system. It's like 1,500 beds. There's also, not counting the giant children's hospital next to it that's attached that we also service. And our lab is like this giant lab smack dab in one of the floors. And it's huge. It's a very, very big hospital. Our management wants to feel like they control every little thing that you do. Like, they want to make you happy, like force you to be happy. Not that you're actually happy, but they want you to like admit that you're happy even if you're not. That's the kind of management that we have. So they just instated like a complaint box, and they were caught complaining about the complaint box because everyone just kept writing that we don't make enough money, because we don't. We're one of like the lowest paid I'm a medical laboratory technologist, and we're one of the lowest paid on the East Coast at that hospital. Like, this is just, North Carolina is just a bad state for medical technologists. It's really unfortunate, but it is. And so that's like apparently the whole complaint box is just pay us more. And instead they give us pizza, which does work sometimes. So anyway, their newest little control mechanism is they're always cracking down on phones. But working in a lab, it's either busy or completely dead to the point where you are just trying to find stuff to do. When you're not running around trying to fix things and run things, etc., you have your phone out and you're texting your family, you're playing Candy Crush, I guess, or you're listening to YouTube videos. Most of the time I'm listening to Spotify, a podcast, etc., or reading on my phone or reading on one of the computers. They have decided to crack down on that, and they apparently had a meeting. I work PRN, so I only work like once a week, and then I pick up shifts randomly. They decided that it was a good idea when everyone's already mad at them. I don't remember. Oh, our manager's just being dumb right now and sending stupid emails around. So everyone's already mad at them already. So they decided it was a good time to instate a policy that if you are caught watching movies, Netflix, YouTube, anything on your phone, that you have the option to be flexed. And then in like parentheses, it was like, you will be sent home. And so everyone now is like, so if I'm caught watching a movie, I get to go home? And so now it's like people maybe like on purpose be trying to send, but they might try to get sent home. So the fact that they thought that was a good idea, that they don't realize that their employees hate their job so much they would rather be sent home. Oh, they're in for a rough time. They're in for a really rough time, because I also can't see them sending anyone home, because we run on a like staffing need basis. Like, one person cannot run the lab. Like, there's like stations, and you need one person per each station or you're short staffed and you're going to run behind, and that means ER times get longer. Everything gets longer. Everything gets backed up, because if the lab isn't working, the rest of the hospital isn't working. So I don't know that they thought this through. So that's the update for the hospital. And so everyone was running around last night asking to be flexed to go home, which we don't have any managers on our shift. So who's going to send us home? They really didn't think it through. Like, really didn't think it through. So anyway, that's the update for that. Second update I have is my husband, first of all, bought me a book, which was really exciting. My husband went to Target last night after he went to Lowe's, because our toilet was hissing at us. So he had to go get like a new fill cap tube thing, whatever, and he fixed it, which was awesome. But then he ran to the Target next door and he picked me up a book, which is so funny how he did it. I should have known he picked me up one, because he was like, have you ever heard of this author? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay. It's next to Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I was like, oh, I really like those. I really like Red, White, and Royal Blue. So he was like, okay. So I come home and there's this book, because he tries to check with me, because I have so many books. So I thought it was so cute that I came home and he bought me a book. So I'm really excited to read it. It looks really cute. And then he also found me, so I've been trying to find my Kindle for the longest time. I don't know where I put it. My parents got me a Kindle, I think, last Christmas. It might have been the Christmas before. I don't remember which one. I really want my Kindle because I've been reading more at night, and it's just the Kindle's easier. Obviously, reading on a Kindle is a lot easier than reading on my phone, and I want my phone use to go down because it was really bad the other day. So he found my old Kindle. So this is my older Kindle that I got I think this is like my mom's hand-me-down that I got from her a while ago. So it works fine. We still have no idea where my newer Kindle is. So we're going to be continuing to look for that. But I think this is a Kindle, I don't know. Like I said, this one is older. So it's a lot different, but I think it's a Fire. I think you can do other stuff on it. But it's working, and so I've been reading. So last night I stayed up a little bit and read some more of Spellbound. So I am 72 pages into Spellbound, and I honestly don't know how I feel about it that much. Like, I love the premise. I love what's going on in the story, but I don't really like the writing. The writing feels very childish and kind of choppy. Like, it's taking me out of the story. It's I don't know. I'm really weird about this one because I've never read a book that I really like everything about it except the writing, which is why I would never DNF this one, because I love the premise. I love what's actually happening. I love the story, but the choppy writing is killing me. And it's just, and some of it feels kind of cheesy the way stuff is presented. But I'm a little suspicious that the reason I'm not vibing with the writing is because I literally just read Heart of a Sun Warrior, which is like a completely different writing style, which isn't like, I'm not saying it's good. That one's just very formal, very presenting, very royal feeling. And this is like almost middle grade feeling. So I think it's just too big of a jump right now between the two books. So my brain is having a really, really hard time adjusting. And I also haven't been reading that much. This is the most I've read in a while, especially back to back. So my brain, I feel like, is like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So maybe like a little too much for my brain right now, but I'm going to continue reading because, like I said, I love what's going on. I'm laughing out loud at what's happening. I'm LOLing, literally, at what's happening in the story. So I'm just hoping the interactions between our two main characters just gets a little better, because right now, not loving that. All right, I wanted to do a quick update before I finish the book. I am at 80% in Spellbound. I don't have it with me, it's upstairs. I've actually been reading most of it on my old Kindle because I read on Kindle like a lot faster, and especially with this book, number one, I tried to get the audiobook, didn't like it. Yeah, I have it on Scribd, did not like it. So I switched to the Kindle, which I was able to get from my library app, the Libby app, and it's the problem with me in physically reading a book is if I'm not engrossed in it, it can take me a very long time to read it just because I won't pick it up. Having the Kindle version of it is making me just speed through it. I don't know what it is about reading on a Kindle. So I was like, okay, I was originally reading it on my phone and on my computer, and I was like, this is dumb. I have a Kindle Fire. I might as well read it on my Kindle Fire. So my husband and I go searching for my Kindle Fire and can't find it literally anywhere. He manages to find my original Kindle, like first generation Kindle my mom got back in like 2015 that she let me have. Found that. Found my old iPad that doesn't even work anymore. Couldn't find my brand new. I got it at the end of 2019, so to me it's still brand new. And I haven't used it that much, so I'm like so annoyed. Can't find the Kindle Fire. So my husband and I got so fed up that we bought a new one. I really wanted a Paperwhite because staring at the screen, like the Fire, it's just glowing. It's like looking at your phone. So I really wanted something more paper-like so I wasn't hurting my eyes, especially late at night. So we're gonna be opening up that. But first, Spellbound, reading it on Kindle, 80% done with it. I'm just not that impressed with it. I'm really, really disappointed, and I am going to try another one of their books. However, I am really not impressed with this one so far. Just like, besides the F-bombs that they drop, it reads so young. The characters to me are reading like 13, 14, like middle school crushes kind of thing going on. I just don't, and it was very insta-lovey at the beginning. That kind of went away, but then they did something that I was just like didn't like, and it really slowed down the pacing in the middle of the book when there's supposed to be like a lot of action happening. Something happens to a character, and it was just, I just didn't like it. It made sense, but I didn't like it, and it lasted far too long. Like, it made sense how they escaped, but it was it was dragged out way too long. And I'm also at the 80% mark, and I feel like nothing has happened. I feel like there's such a good backbone to the story. There's such a neat idea, but the world building is so lacking. I feel like they tried to do something super cool with a super short book. I feel like if this book was a series, or if it was like a 500-page book instead of like a 330-page book, and it was just drawn out more and explained more, it would have been really cool, because the world is technically our world, but there's magic that's run throughout it, and it's really cool. It's just not nearly developed enough for what it needs to be. So I'm just kind of bored, and I'm feeling this disconnect with the characters. Like, I feel absolutely no way about them. I think they're fine. It's a mix between like the writing and the lack of world building, and I don't know. I'm really not loving it. I'm not hating it. Like, I was never at the point where I was gonna DNF it, but it's just one of those books that I'm just like, this had a really good idea, poor execution in my opinion, which is sad. And I'm way on my own, because everyone loves this book. A couple of my subscribers have talked about it and they loved it. So I feel by myself on an island on this one, which again, I was that way with Divine Rivals too, so I guess I should get used to this little island by myself. Anyway, we are going to open my Kindle. Actually, I did go to the bookstore as well today. It was funny because when I switched to like the premium membership at Barnes & Noble, I never got the tote, and they magically gave me the tote today. I don't know what happened, but I feel like my account finally was like, hey, you never gave her a tote, and they're like, oh. So I got a free tote, and I also had a $10 off coupon, which was awesome. So I picked up 2 books, and I feel like I'm gonna be super toxic enough to read one of these next instead of reading one of the other hundreds of books that I have on my shelf. So first one that I got, and not the one I'm going to read, is Sophie and the Bone Song. This has been suggested to me a couple of times in the comments of my channel, and I'm really excited to get to this, and I didn't realize that this was Adrian Tooley, who is the same author as Sweet and Bitter Magic, which I gave 5 stars. I loved that book. So I'm really excited to give this one a try, and it looks so cool. It has to do with magic and music, and that just sounds awesome, and it's going to be a sapphic romance, it looks like, so I'm very excited about this one. And then I also picked this one up. I've been eyeing this one on Amazon for a while because they showed what it was going to look like so long ago, and I didn't realize it was like a pre-order stage. So when I finally saw this in stores, I was like, I've got to get it. And it is Assistant to the Villain, and it's like and it's got sprayed edges too. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. But it's basically this woman, it's like cozy fiction fantasy kind of, so I'm really curious about it, and it seems just really fun. And it's following a woman who ends up taking a job with a villain. So I'm like, this sounds really good, and I feel like this is kind of what I want to read next. These are Scorpio races. I actually really want to read Scorpio races. And have I been saying watch instead of read? I just had that in my head. Anyway, really want to read this one. I'm kind of between this and Scorpio races. I feel like I have enough time for 2 books, but I always feel different after I finish a book. So after I finish Spellbound, my mind might completely change about what I want to read. So those are the books, and like I said, now we are on to the Paperwhite. I'm so excited. Yay! I am so excited about this. I've never had like this version of Kindle. I've only ever had the Fires, and I'm really excited to see if I love this one. And the reason I got the Paperwhite is because I wanted like the soft ambient version of it, and I should have showed you that. That was really satisfying. I wanted the soft ambient version of the Kindle. So excited. And this one is like 0.8. It's like 6.8 inches instead of the just basic Kindle, which is 6. So I was like, I want to get the biggest one possible because I don't know. I'm not even blind. Like, I have really good eyesight. I don't wear glasses. I don't wear contacts. So I don't know why I wanted the bigger screen, but I feel like I just want a bigger screen, and that is awesome. I am so excited. I also want to see if I can get eventually the clicker, like the mount to remount it, and the clicker where you turn the page. I think that would be really nice to have in bed. So anyway, Kindle, very excited. I'm gonna go set this up and finish reading my book on it. I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm so excited. Okay, that's my update. I will update you when I finish the book and pick a new one. I'm officially at 9 hours and 57 minutes. It is later today, and I have finished Spellbound. I got through it so much faster on the Kindle than my new Kindle than my old Fire, because it does not bother my eyes nearly as much as the Kindle Fire did. So that is amazing and exactly what I was hoping for. I'm also making dinner. I'm making chicken pot pie, so you might hear that. But yeah, I finished Spellbound. I'm giving it, I'm so torn on what to give this. I think I'm giving this 3 stars. Part of me wants to give it lower, but I'm gonna give it 3 stars because, again, I like the premise, I like what's going on, I like the characters, I like everything about it, except it's choppy, kind of cheesy, actually very cheesy. Like, I did not laugh. I laughed at the beginning a few times, but it kind of just, like, the jokes just got cheesier and cheesier. And it just felt so young. It felt so young. I did not feel like these were a 16 and a 17-year-old kid. It felt more like 13, 14 years old, and it was just way too young for me. I think people who like middle grade books will love this. I feel like this was definitely a case of I'm not a big fan of middle grade, and that kind of was definitely to my detriment while reading this, but I was expecting young adult, and the ages are young adult. It just bordered very young, very young. So I'm really sad because this had so much great backbone. I also feel like it ended quite abruptly. Like, I feel like there was a lot of complicated things going on in this book, but it was just kind of like resolved in a really simple way, and I was like not sure how I felt about that. So I feel like if it had aged up the writing, kind of been 100 pages longer, or there was a second book, and just kind of needed to go in deeper into what was going on and take more time. And this cover is actually kind of misleading because this is them in front of a haunted house. This scene takes place over like 1 chapter of the whole book. And I'm really disappointed because this makes it seem like they're kind of like ghost hunting or like doing spells and like going on trips a lot. And they did go on a few, but not enough, and definitely not really to haunted places. There was 1 haunted place. So I think my favorite parts of the book were them going out on like trips, trying to solve magic things, but it just wasn't that big of a part of the book. So I'm so like torn on this book. I'm so all over the place in it. And I have started my next pick, which I'm really excited about. We're gonna do another fantasy book, and we're gonna do another duology that I'm trying to finish, and I've been putting it off because I really like the first book and I'm really nervous about reading the second book. We're gonna read The Dragon's Promise. I think I gave Six Crimson Cranes a 4.5. I don't remember exactly what I gave it, but I remember really liking it. And I did read a recap because it's been a while since I read this book, and I'm really excited because I already read the first chapter and I'm already like in it. I'm already in it and so excited. And these covers are so pretty. This is another Fairy Loot edition. They're so pretty. The UK editions of these are stunning. I love them. I don't like the US editions, actually. I don't know, there's something about them I don't like, but the UK editions, stunning. So yeah, I have started this. I am already really excited about it, and hopefully it goes better than the sequel to Daughter of the Moon Goddess, that I like the whole book instead of just the ending. But there's another love triangle situation in this one too, which is why I've been putting it off. So I'm like, why am I doing this to myself in this vlog? But I feel like since it's been 10 hours, I still have 12 hours left, which probably means I have time for this book and maybe a short one. I don't know. I'm curious because I was surprised that I managed to finish I guess it was 1.5. So we'll see. We'll see how long this one takes me. Yeah, that's a little update. Starting this, gonna read this all night. I have it on my Kindle. I was able to get a copy from Libby, so I'm really excited to read it on my Kindle, and that's just kind of like the vibes right now. So I'm going to go finish dinner and then I'm going to go read. Okay, so I am 37% through with The Dragon's Promise. I'm at page 181 on chapter 19, and it's going very well using the Kindle. It's going very well. I am like still reading like my physical book of it, especially when I get to the end. Probably like, I like to read the physical book, especially at the beginning and at the end. But this is just making it go by so much quicker and so much easier. I'm liking this one. I'm liking this one, which is really exciting. The beginning felt a little slow. I feel like we went back and forth with the same thing over and over again a few times. Like, I feel like a little bit of that could have been cut out. But I feel like the purpose of the beginning of the book was basically to finally sever the love triangle. I wasn't expecting it to be severed so quickly, but it's like the author set up the love triangle in the last book and then opened this book and was like, just kidding, never mind. I don't actually want there to be a love triangle. So I'm very curious if the other character in the love triangle is going to show back up at some point, but it seems like fully over. Like, it really does seem 100% not a thing that is going to happen. So I like that because now I can focus on the other characters and not worry about this being a thing, like what happened in Heart of a Sun Warrior, where they didn't like deal with the love triangle until the last like 50 pages. So I'm glad that this has been dealt with rather quickly, so it's not just over my head. But this is definitely very adventure forward, a lot of stuff happening. I'm enjoying it. The writing is really good. I don't think it like super stands out in any way. Like there's nothing crazy happening. It's just trying to solve a problem that's going on, basically. I did get a little confused. It did get a little convoluted and I was like, wait, what is happening for a second? But I'm back on track, I think. I'm back on track. There was too many enemies, too many things going on all at once. So now that they've removed the first part of the book and we've moved into more of like a solid storyline, I feel a little better about it. But I am enjoying it. I'm gonna continue reading it. Not really much of an update, but I have a feeling I won't update again until I'm done, unless I like really start hating it or something. Otherwise, I'm just gonna let you know when I'm finished and if I ended up liking it. It is super early. Friday morning. I could not sleep this morning. My husband leaves super early for work and normally I can just like fall right back asleep. Not this morning, so it is 7:30. I've been reading since 5:30 this morning, and I have finished The Dragon's Promise, so at least I got something done this morning. I was expecting not to get this finished for a while just because I figured I would wake up late, and then I was gonna have to eat breakfast, and then I have physical therapy at like noon, so I wasn't really expecting to pick this up until like 2 o'clock this afternoon. Instead, I finished this and I definitely have some mixed emotions about this book. I feel like I was trying to convince myself that I really liked this just because I didn't want it to go about the same way as Heart of the Sun Warrior. I would say I enjoyed the overall story more in this one, but I didn't love the ending. The ending kind of just like depressed me. Like some of it I really liked, but I don't know. Just for me, it was like a bittersweet ending instead of just like fully happy. And if I'm reading fantasy books, I tend to want a happy ending. So I was a little, I don't know, I'm so torn on it. It's so hard to talk about without spoilers because it's the second book. I would say in general, the ending was fine. I wish something else had happened. It just felt like a lot of repeating things going on in this book. So yeah, so probably the biggest reason why I'm giving it a 3.5. I'm giving it a 3.5 because I didn't like it as much as Heart of the Sun Warrior. And I don't have as strong feelings about this series now as I do about Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And I feel like the exact same thing happened with the series Spin the Dawn, because I have read that series as well. And the kind of the same thing happened. I really liked the first book. I liked the direction it took. And then the second book just felt totally different and like things were repeating themselves. And that's what this kind of felt like. It felt like the beginning of the story of this book had like nothing to do with the rest of the book. Like I understand why they had to do it, but it was so weird that there was like this whole world built at the beginning of this book and then it was not used again through the rest of the book. And you cut out a character, I feel like that was pretty like main character in the first one within the first 150 pages. So I thought that was interesting. In general, again, it just felt kind of like a rinse and repeat of some of the story from the first one. So I wasn't the biggest fan of that. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I don't feel like there was anything that really majorly stood out in this story. I feel like the romance was also a bit downplayed, and I feel like they could have done a bit more with that, especially at the end. And like I said, didn't love the way that the book resolved what happened with our main character, just because to me it's a little bittersweet. So I don't know. I'm so torn on this one because I feel like I generally enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm not going to remember this story for very long. So I think a 3.5 is good. I think I gave the first one a 4. So I think it's a fine duology. It's a little long. I feel like the book was a little long for what it was. So it could have been a little bit shorter and I probably would have liked it better. But anyway, I finished this, and I actually, to take a break from this last night, because I read this a ton last night, but I was starting to get frustrated with it last night, so I started rewatching Project Runway. I've seen like most of Project Runway except for the current seasons, but I decided to start from season 1, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything, but it's on Peacock, so I've been watching it on there. Normally what I do is I'll watch a little bit of a show and then read, and then watch and then read, and then watch and then read, because that's how my brain works. But I was not enjoying reading this last night, and I was just like, I can't do this. So I actually started my next book, which is Holly Horror, which is like a young adult horror book that came out this month. I still haven't read the ARC. Luckily, I don't have to return the ARC until like the 22nd, so thank goodness for that. So I started that, and so far it really is just your generic young adult horror, but it's literally perfect and what I need after reading this, because I'm just a little slumpy after reading The Dragon's Promise. So I'm officially at, what was it, 16 hours and like 48 minutes, I think. So we have, math is so hard. So we have 7 hours and 12 minutes. Is that right? That sounds right. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But I think I have 7 hours and 12, which means I have time for plenty more to read. I'm just kind of like, holy crap, this is a long vlog, because I wasn't expecting to read this much. I thought it was going to take me much longer to get through these chunky books, and it isn't. So I'm just kind of like, so we're just going to go read Holly Horror and just chill today. And I work this weekend. Not happy about that. I thought this vlog was going to be over by like Wednesday, Sunday to Wednesday. And it's Friday and I'm still going. So yeah, I wasn't expecting it to go into the weekend. But anyway, we're going to continue reading, trying to get to this goal of reading for 24 hours. We're officially at 24 hours read. And I don't think I'm going to do this again. This was just not at all what I was expecting. I underestimated how long 24 hours was, especially like actually reading for 24 hours and not just, you know, reading for 24 hours. Because like I said, could not do that either. But this was definitely an experiment. I will say, I read a ton of stuff, so I'm happy about that. I just feel like this took way longer than I thought it would. It kind of started stressing me out at the end, and I don't like that I have an unfinished book in this video. Like, that's what I'm like the most uncomfortable about. So quick update about the books, because I did finish the book that I was on, and then I did start and read 2 hours of the book that I am currently reading right now, which again, I'm so off that I'm not finished it, but the video's ending. So you'll see like my final updates in my August wrap up, which isn't that far away, but it's still like really throwing me off. So I did end up finishing Holly Horror, which was a weird one to review. That was one of my arcs, but I had taken too long. So technically I was past like the published date, but not past the date that they like yank it from NetGalley. So I was okay. It didn't ruin my reviewer rating. And you know what? I'm really glad that I like pushed through it, because there was a section in the middle that I was like, is this what I want to read? Like, it's kind of boring, but I pushed through it, and I think I'm going to give it a 3.75. So Holly Horror is following our main character, who is not Holly. But Holly is actually the name of the girl who went missing like 40 years ago, and it was her like great aunt's daughter. I think that's what it was. It got a little confusing with the family tree there, but anyway, our main character, her mom and her dad just got a divorce, and the mom decides to move them back to this like home that the family's owned for so long, and the aunt lives in town but won't go in the house, so they're there in the house, and weird stuff starts happening to our main character, and there's like a little romance in the background. And I very quickly realized at the end that this was book 1, and the cliffhanger was there. I was very upset when I realized that it was book 1, and I should have known, because it literally in the title of like the arc says Holly Horror 1. No kidding, it's gonna be in a series, but my little brain cannot comprehend that it was going to be a series, and especially the fact that it was a huge cliffhanger. But I'm very excited, and part of the rating being a 3.75 to a 4 is because it is a first book in a series. Because if it was not, there would be way too many things that we did not talk about, because the book has a lot of like family lore, and there's a lot of like different, because there's like a spirit world kind of thing going on. Like there's something in between going on that you can't see. And our main character is sensitive to it because her family has like psychics in the family and like sensitives in the family, and so she's able to like sense these things that other people can't. They don't really go into it. They don't explain exactly how that's happening, like what this world is like, etc. And it kind of leaves us definitely on a cliffhanger relating to that, as well as one of the characters in the book. It's also a big cliffhanger with them. So I enjoyed that. It definitely gave major young adult horror vibes, and I tend to enjoy that. It was a bit slow in the middle, but that ending was really, really good. It did get a little confusing at the ending because, like I said, did not explain everything that was going on. And at first I was unhappy with that, but then I realized it was because there is going to be more books. And I was like, okay, that's why they didn't go into explanations, and that's why I was a little confused about exactly what was going on. So I enjoyed it. It was a very fun read that I wasn't expecting to really like because it's not on my radar. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. So I would say that one's a pretty big win for this one. And then we're moving on to the book that I just started, and I've read about 2 hours of it. It is very fast. I guess I've read more than that because I guess I did start it last night because I finished the last hour this morning because it is Monday morning. This video was supposed to be done and like up last Wednesday, which is why nothing came out last week, because I was like, I have nothing. This was like the video that was supposed to come out last week. So I was trying to rush to get this out today, but I worked this weekend, which did not help. If I didn't work this weekend, this probably would have been out Saturday or Sunday. That did not happen. Anyway, finished reading this morning, and I've read, I think I'm at 39% of it read. Burn the Negative. So after I read Holly Horror, I was like, I'm still kind of in this like thriller kind of horror mode. So let's read a thriller that is about a horror film. And now that I'm reading it, I don't think this is a thriller. Okay, it depends on your definition of thriller. To me, this is a horror book. This is an adult horror book, and it is kind of freaking me out a little bit. It does have a really low rating. I'm kind of surprised, but at the same time, I can see why. This is definitely a book for movie horror buffs. Like, this is like an ode to horror films, and it is very fun, and that's why I like it so much so far. But I can see like the average thriller reader and the average like horror book reader being kind of iffy on this, because it's definitely aimed at those people who like horror films and the background of horror movies and the curses that follow films, because this is following our main character Aura, who was a child star in this movie called, I think it was The Guest House, and it's a big horror movie, and it has, a lot of people think there's a curse surrounding the movie because people, pretty much everyone in the film died, and so she ended up changing her name and has moved on with her life, but she still has nightmares from the set. And then she gets sent on she's like a writer for a journal about entertainment and TV, etc. She gets sent to the set of a new TV series, up and coming TV series, and it turns out it's going to be a reimagination or reincarnation of The Guest House. And so she starts freaking out, and then weird stuff starts happening, like the curse has been brought back, like she's the center of the curse. So it's just, yes. Weird stuff is happening. It's definitely, to me, more horror than thriller. Like I said, thriller and horror go hand in hand a lot. It is very difficult when you have that like very in between, and this is the very in between. Like, it borders thriller. To me, it's going more on the horror side. So I guess it's like a thriller or horror, because like horrors are thrilling. So like it just depends on your definition of it. But it is weird. There is stuff happening that I am confused about. I don't know what's going on. But I love the little, after each chapter, there's a little like insert of what it looks like a screenshot of a page of the original script, or like an original magazine thing, or like someone breaking down the original deaths. And it's just like so cool. It's so cool. And I actually left off on a part that was like oh my gosh, what just happened? So I'm really, really excited to get back to reading it. So that's pretty much all I have to say about it though, because I'm not finished it. That is my book update. I guess we should wrap this up finally, and then I can film the intro, because I still haven't filmed the intro because I didn't know what this video was gonna be, and it kind of turned into this weird conglomeration of things. I don't know, it was very strange. So let's quickly talk about the book that I did finish. So to recap, we read Heart of the Sun Warrior. I love that I finished this duology. It makes me so happy. This was a 4-star. This was an emotional roller coaster of a book. I thought I was going to hate it. I was ready to give it a 2-star, and then the ending happened and I loved it. And now I'm stalking NetGalley for hoping that Sulin Tan puts up, or her publishers put up, the, what is it, Tales of the Celestial Kingdom, whatever the new book is coming out, the novella, the short stories. I'm dying for that to come out. I still check every day. Every day I need that to come out. So this has me foaming at the mouth ready for that. And I don't think I can wait another like 7 months for that to come out. I'm gonna go crazy. So yeah, 4-star, good duology. Feel like I really need to reread it to really appreciate it, knowing the end of this book. And then we read one that was highly anticipated. Subscribers loved it. Everyone seems to love it. Spellbound. What did I give it, a 3? Yeah, I still feel like 2.5 to 3, but I didn't hate it. I feel like if I give something under a 3, there's a part of it that I like really didn't like, and that wasn't that wasn't this. If I give anything under a 3, it's because I didn't like it. And the fact is, I didn't like this, but I didn't not like it. It just felt so neutrally because I just felt like I was reading this middle grade book. Middle grade and I just don't jive. Like, there's something that I just don't enjoy the writing of it. It just feels too kiddish. And that's not saying middle grade is bad. A lot of people really, really love middle grade. It's like some people really, really don't like young adult, and I get that. It can read young, and I'm okay with that though. But middle grade for me is too young. It's just like how I don't like some adult books because I feel like they read too adult. So it's just everyone's own preference. So I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying this is better for people who can tolerate / like younger books than I do. So it was fine. And then another duology that I finished, again, I feel like these are like off my chest. There's a weight lifted off. But I finished The Dragon's Promise, which is the second book in the 6 Crimson Cranes series. This one, God, I'm already forgetting it. Like, that's how not memorable this was. Like, I remember The Heart of the Sun Warrior fine. This one's forgettable. It's the same issue that I had with Spin the Dawn. I loved the first book. I think I gave both books 4 stars, 4.5 stars. And then the second book, Unravel the Dusk and The Dragon's Promise, these second books just don't live up to the hype of the first book. I think I gave this, what, 3.5, 3.75? It's just not there. Like, there's something missing about it that she manages to infuse in the first books, and a lot of this book felt meandering and boring, and I feel like it could have been like 50 to 100 pages shorter, which is nothing. That's not something you want to say about a book. If you say it can be 100 pages shorter, that's not great. That's not great. I just feel like a lot of stuff got rehashed, and I hate that. I hate when stuff is repeated in a second or third book, because then it just feels like I'm rereading the first book all over again, and that magic just isn't there the first time. So yeah, it was okay. I will say it makes me more excited for her next book, Her Radiant Curse, because it's about the characters in this series, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I looked up Her Radiant Curse, and I was like, oh, it's about our main character's stepmom. And I'm like, so I'm nervous about that though, because there's a sadness factor to that. But at the same time, I think that story is going to be fascinating. I am so excited to hear about some of the backstory, and it may make my opinion of this book a little like higher. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm nervous about it, but I'm excited about it. And then I read Holly Horror, just talked about it, 4-star. I think I'm gonna do 4 stars. I think I'm gonna do 4 stars because I'm having like good memories of it. I feel like that's one way that a book can go up or down, is if I'm like recapping and I'm like, you know what, like, I actually did really like this. It was just while I was reading it, there was a section that kind of just stuck with me that I was just bored by, so it's kind of just like permeated my brain. But I think I'm gonna go with a 4-star. That may change. The wrap-up is my final, so during my August wrap-up, you'll see like what I actually rated things. But normally they don't change more than like 0.25. Like, this isn't gonna jump to like a 5, and it's not gonna jump down to a 3. For now, I'll say it's a 4, and I'm really, really excited for the second book because I want to know what happens. I want to know what happens so bad. And like I said, in the middle of reading Burn the Negative, I'm really hoping it continues being really good. And I'm so, it's making me paranoid. The book is making me super paranoid about everybody in the book. So I'm excited to continue reading it. That's what I'm gonna do after this. I do have some like chores to do in the house, and then I gotta figure out what I'm doing for my next video because I gotta start that soon because I am behind. So anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. I know this turned out to be such a weird, strange video, but I read a lot in this, a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting to read, which is fun. I just straight up mood read this whole video, which is awesome. It's been a while since I just sat down and just slammed through some books by mood reading. It was really great. So anyway, really enjoyed it, kind of. Stressful, probably not doing it again, but still enjoyed it, still an experience, and thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future content. I have some unboxings hopefully coming out later this week, maybe, hopefully. I don't know, the mail's been really weird lately. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure to leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books, etc. You know, the usual stuff. So thank you for being here, and I will see you guys in the next video.